Preface has seen tremendous success in the past 3 years, tripling your revenue on an annual basis. And today, our goal is to help you continue this success and grow even further in the next 2 years. Good morning, my name is Stanley, and together with my colleagues, Tiffany, Regis, and Tommy, we're super excited to present to you our analysis and strategy to bring Preface to the next level. Today, we understand that you have a target to do IPO in 2025. But the urgent task right now is how can we drive revenue to boost up the company pre-IPO valuation. Therefore, the key question we're going to answer today is how can we help Preface to achieve a $250 million revenue in 2025? But before answering this question, we have to highlight your core strengths and competitive advantages, which is first of all, you have very fast content generation ability. But most importantly, you also have a very thorough due diligence conducted by industry experts. And last but not least, it's the synergies that you are able to be creating between your B2B and B2C business, as well as your online business and offline business. Therefore, moving forward, we will put these core strengths in mind. So we're not only to grow your revenue, respectively for B2B and B2C, but we also want to see cross-selling opportunities as well as synergies created. Let's first take a deep dive into your B2C business. So we analyze your B2C business in terms of product offerings as well as markets. And we identified that the growth opportunity here lies in penetrating the new client segments with your existing products. And the reason is because we believe that the current target audience, which is the wealthy scholars from rich families as well as senior executives, have a limited market size, which the aggregated market size is lower than $200 million specifically in Hong Kong, which does not justify the strong growth revenue ambitions that you have. Therefore, we suggest you to expand into other ideal segments to grow your revenue. And this leads to our first insight today, which is that university student is actually an attractive segment for you to capture. So we've actually compared 3 key criteria, which is market size, ease of acquisition, as well as synergies with your current business. And we believe that university students should be the ideal target segment. The reason is because it's valued that you have a $450 million market size in terms of growth potential, which is 2.44x of your current target segment. Secondly, in terms of ease of acquisition, there is an increasing trend of university students willing to invest in themselves in terms of additional hobby or skill set, which according to Hong Kong government survey, the average spending per month per university student is up to 1,800 Hong Kong dollars. In terms of synergy with your current business, we believe that university students will be able to create synergies with your current B2B and B2C segment, which will be further addressed by my colleague Regis. But in terms of your B2B business, it's a different story. We believe that the growth opportunity lies in penetrating the existing client segment with new product offerings. And the reason is because currently, you have a small share of wallet in your corporate client segments. Your average revenue per business client is around $40K, which only represents a 0.42% share of wallet in each corporate, which means that there's a bit room for you to improve. But in order to further penetrate the share of wallet for corporate segments, this leads to our second insight today, which is attract and upskill tech talents are the pain points of corporate HRs. According to Hong Kong government survey, top HR concerns in 2024, 74% of the HRs believe that it's very difficult to attract and recruit the right tech talents, and the underlying pain point is because there is an information gap between supply and demand of tech talents. Moreover, 58% of the corporate HRs believe it's very difficult to upskill the current employees' tech capabilities. The underlying pain point is that the current traditional way of doing corporate training for corporate staff is no longer effective to cater to the fast ever-changing technology world. Therefore, the implication for Preface is that if you can bridge the gap between the information gap between tech supply and demand, as well as providing personalized trainings for corporate B2B segments, you will be able to deliver value to these corporate clients. And this leads to our executive summary today. We deliver to you 2 key insights today, driving our 2 strategies, prepare and perform. And together, you will be able to achieve a $273 million revenue in 2025. And now I'll pass my time to my colleague, Tiffany.
Thank you, Stanley. As we have identified university students to be an attractive segment to tap into, we'd like to introduce you to our first strategy, prepared to provide a more personalized technology content for the university students to actually learn to better prepare themselves for their future career. And our major features will include personalized and immersive learning experience for them, as well as providing them with a technology and career-focused learning content, and also providing them with opportunities to network and connect with industry professionals. But before introducing our strategy, let us think, why university students and how we can actually tap into their needs. After our research, we have identified that university students is currently facing two major pain points. The first one will be lacking of technology knowledge and skills for their future career. Currently in Hong Kong, only 15% of the students are actually studying in technology-related major. However, in the fresh graduate job market, 77% of the job actually requires our students to be equipped with technology skills or knowledge, be it what industry they are in. And this implies that if Preface wants to tap into this university segment, we actually have to ensure that we are providing them with a career focus as well as technology-driven personalized tech content for them to learn. Secondly, there is also another pain point that our current university students, although understanding that they have to know more about technology, they do not have any time to acquire them. And therefore, if Preface wants to help these university students to learn, it is important for them to actually utilize their fracture time. But how can all of these be executed? Let us first introduce you to X+Tech concept. X+Tech X can be any career that our university students want to be into, be it banking or consulting or even like fine art or like even going into a singing music career. Any career you can think of, they actually are now requiring new technology and skill set. And therefore, it is important for us to actually personalize the tech content that we are offering to them based on the career they wanted as well as their current academic profile and ability. But how can we actually make sure that they are able to learn since they do not have enough time? We'd like to introduce you to our daily learning cycle scheme. When they're actually using our app to actually learn these tech content, not only that it will be provided in a traditional way, but we'll make sure that it is a very learning cycle that they can repeat every day. In the morning, they can take only a 30-second to grasp an overview of what they have to learn in the day. And throughout the day, whenever they have time, we will provide them with a short content. What short content is the bite-sized content that Preface has been working on, and that will be performed in terms of short articles or short videos and short Q&As, which means that a very new concept can allow a university students to learn them and grasp the knowledge within maybe 3 or 5 minutes. And they can actually learn all of these within their free time, whenever they're commuting or even having a transition between lessons. We can utilize all of their fracture time to make sure that they have learned the content. And at nighttime, before going to bed, they can take perhaps 3 minutes of time to consolidate what they have learned throughout the day. And this process will repeat every day until a course is completed. And throughout this process, not only the course content is personalized based on the career they wanted, but also in terms of the pace of learning, they will also be personalized based on the schedule provided by the university student. As well as we are able to personalize the method of learning. Say, for example, whether or not you don't want the Q&A to be in MC's format or long question format, or whether or not you want the short content to be provided in terms of articles or videos. All of these methods can be personalized based on the university students' preferences. And to better illustrate that, let us look into Stanley's case. Stanley is a year 2 student who is interested in sales and trading and is majoring in marketing. She has prior knowledge in Python, however, she doesn't really know about blockchain and is eager to learn about that. And therefore, after downloading our app, she will first provide her personal information, including her academic background, her career interests, or the current level of skills that she currently has. Based on her profile, we'll be able to analyze the best courses for her and provided her with a list of recommended courses. And based on this list of courses, she'll be able to choose the one she's most interested in and she demands for. For example, in her case, it could possibly be Crypto Trading 101. Next up, after confirming the course she would like to do, she can now actually learn anytime and anywhere with all bite-sized content, which is really professional since it's due diligence. And after that, after a period of learning, she'll now be able to consolidate all of her learning through a final quizzes, and after passing the quiz, she'll be able to redeem a certificate that she can use in her LinkedIn or even showing as an ability proof in her CVs. And after completing a whole course, she can now proceed to the next course, which means that she can actually continue to work on her future career and better prepare herself for different kind of technology and skills. But for a preface, it is important for us to monetize the whole strategy. And therefore, we are now introducing this subscription model where our X+Tech daily learning scheme will be included in all the tiers. However, moving upwards to the plus tier, our students will be able to attend expert classes that are conducted by industry professionals, and they can choose which industry professional or topic they can actually want to attend. And this will be conducted in a small group size, which is already very tailor-made. But if he or she wants to be even more tailor-made, they can move up to premium tier, where they can actually attend a one-on-one consultation section and to meet with different industry professionals they desire for anytime, anywhere, and ask for any content they actually want to know about. Now that we have introduced a B2C business model that actually helps Preface to drive up its revenue, I'll now pass the time to Regis to further elaborate on B2B business model.
Thank you, Tiffany. So we have introduced Prepare, which is our B2C strategy. So what about the corporate clients? Well, in the B2B world, one major issue that they face is that it is very difficult to attract and upskill tech talents. And we are trying to introduce our strategy Perform, which is a portal that connects corporate clients with university students in order to drive performance. And there are two key features that I would like to introduce. Firstly, we'll have a recruitment portal and also an upskilling program to help improve existing employees as well as new employees' tech skills. Now first, into our first feature, which is connecting recruiters as well as job seekers. The current issue in the industry is that there's an information gap. What this means is that the company, when they try to communicate their needs, is not really matched by the students or the job applicants. And on the other hand, the job applicants, perhaps when they communicate that their skills, is not very immediately clear to the companies. So I think this is a problem that could be addressed with our HR portal. Let me illustrate here. So on the client company side, they can first specify what sort of skills they're looking for in their candidates. So let's take the example of maybe a sales and trading department at a bank. So perhaps they would identify that Python, some coding skills, as well as some basic knowledge on perhaps cryptocurrency, blockchain, etc., would be very beneficial. And so they can adjust this slider here to mark how important they think these skills are. Then they could click this button to search and filter for talent. Now, on the other side, for the university students, when they apply for these jobs, they can see that their current skill sets are matching or maybe lagging behind what the company actually wants. So this is good because it allows the applicants to understand what the company actually wants, as well as where they're lacking. And so, for example, for Stanley, maybe she's not so good at crypto, and she can click this link here, which will take her to our Preface app, and she can take a course, which, as mentioned by Tiffany, like Crypto Trading 101, to help improve her skills. And this leads to two key benefits. For the company, they will have access to over 30,000 credible tech talents, and also have access to very accurate information that we provide. Secondly, for the students, they will have access to job opportunities that are provided by very prestigious and trusted client companies. And as for our second part, which is the revamped tech upskilling program. So what this is about is that currently it is very ineffective to have standardized trainings for existing or new employees. And with our new tech upskilling program, we aim to change that. So firstly, we have to set up the course background. We'll use information from two sources. Firstly, we'll have the existing data that we collected through our HR portal. And secondly, it's very important to discuss with the client company what sort of KPIs and skills that they look for in their employees. And so we can move on to the actual training, where there are three stages. Firstly, we have to identify what the employee does not know. It's very important to only teach them things that they are currently lacking, so there's no redundancy. And secondly, we can customize. So our learning plan is very catered toward the individual as well as the company's needs to minimize any inefficiencies or repeated content. And lastly, it's very important to review, because with standardized training, perhaps one very difficult way it's very difficult to assess the individual performance of the candidates. But with our strategy, we can review their KPIs because we actually give them courses to take where there are quizzes, exams that they need to pass in order to fulfill the requirement. And this leads to two benefits. Firstly, it caters to the individual needs of the employees. So they learn things that they want to learn as well as things that they need to learn. And as for the company, we can help them save time and cost because it is very personalized to each employee. So however, there are many HR platforms that offer very similar functionality. So where is our competitive edge? Well, for Preface, we have end-to-end coverage. What this means is that we cover not only the job-seeking part of the timeline, but also the job onboarding and training part. Secondly, we have a unique focus on tech upskilling. Many HR platforms only serve a HR-oriented function, but we have tech upskilling. Thirdly, we have high trust and credibility. The data that we collect is very different from what HR platforms have. So HR platforms, they really rely on candidates submitting their CV where they can inflate their performance. Like they could claim that they are experts in Python, but there's no immediate way to test it right away. However, with our courses, we are able to show them that these candidates actually have a certain level of proficiency in the skills that they claim they have. Lastly, we have strong relationships with our client companies because we are partnering with banks, luxury firms, tech firms. So the benefits are three-dimensional. For Preface, they can collect data as well as revenue from the university students as well as client companies, and Preface provides them the tech upskilling program that they need. Between the client company and university students, there's an exchange of tech talent as well as job opportunities. And most importantly, I want to highlight the synergy between our B2C and B2B strategies. So in our B2C strategy, we help university students prepare for a career where they can use their tech knowledge to help them gain an advantage. And when they actually go into the job market, they'll be exposed to our B2B strategy. And so we can see that it feeds back into our B2C strategy because as we partner with more companies in our B2B strategy perform, it will be more attractive to the university students and it forms a positive feedback loop. Now I'd like to pass my time to Tommy to summarize our case.
Moving on to impact on financials. So as we see here, we're trying to link our recommendations with quantitative impact. So for example, for Prepare, we'll be increasing the total revenue from university students all the way to 37.8 million, which demonstrates our ability to serve as a strong driver for Preface growth. Regarding Perform, the number of employees recruited with Preface will go all the way to nearly 1.4K, which demonstrates the scalability of our recommendation. And more importantly, the percentage of L&D expenses that's being spent on Preface will go all the way from 0.42% to 10.2%, which demonstrates our value proposition as actually being accepted by the companies that they're willing to pay more and invest more into Preface. So diving deeper into the financials, so we will be achieving 273 million by having an incremental 73 million in revenue because we see that Preface is currently on track to achieve a 200 million target. So we see that this can serve as an incremental driver that brings Preface even further in terms of the revenue. And after times a 3.3% margin by comparing with its benchmark companies, we'll get a net profit accumulated of 2.91 million in the next 2 years, therefore reaching a 243% project ROI with our recommendations. Regarding Prepare, we have actually taken a method in terms of market sizing to get the quantity of the customers that we can actually reach, as well as benchmarking our pricing against our potential competitors or similar products on the market, which gets a weighted average price per user per month of $105, which ultimately leads to $38 million in incremental revenue. Regarding our second recommendation for the B2B side, we'll have two key drivers in terms of education as well as recruitment. For education, we'll be increasing the interactions with our company so that they're willing to pay more, which increases from 0.42% gradually up to 12% by the second half of 2025. Regarding recruitment, we'll be helping companies to recruit and we'll take a commission fee we can earn from that as well, which contributes to a total of 48% of the incremental revenue by 2025. Regarding cost, there will be a $0.85 million of initial investment in capital expenditure, which is mainly driven by, first of all, research and development, and second of all, in terms of designing a portal for the B2B side as well as for the B2C side. We have calculated them separately in this situation. Regarding the implementation timeline over here, we see that, for example, for Perform, the B2B strategy, we'll first of all pilot with 3 of our trusted corporate clients to make sure that we are actually meeting their needs to be able to have a more smoother transition to even more clients in the future. Regarding the Prepare strategy, we'll first of all launch a demo in terms of understanding what kind of content we actually want to put in terms of our platform, and we'll be rolling out by the second half of 2024. Moreover, we see that you are actually planning an IPO by the very end of 2025, which we have actually included in our implementation as well. So for tomorrow's action point, first we have to hire research and software employees to make sure the portal can actually be smoothly integrated. Second, we'll negotiate with our pilot institutions, and finally recruit our marketing specialists. Ultimately, for risk and mitigation, we'll be happy to discuss it later in the Q&A section. So we see time is of the essence right now because every single dollar in revenue can actually translate to $2.2 in valuation when you go IPO right now. So we see the imminent task right now is to give incremental drivers for Preface to boost even further. With our recommendations, we can boost the B2C side by providing incremental market in terms of even reaching the university students. For B2B side, we'll be touching even more in terms of more interactions with the corporate clients. So we said maybe in 2 or 3 years when I look at my stock app, I can see Preface being listed over there on NASDAQ, and I'll be happily investing in this company. There's a multitude of strong revenue drivers. Thank you, and we're now open for Q&A.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Breakfast, please.
Okay, quick questions.
Regarding prepare and perform the Q strategies, who do you see the biggest competitors of Preface when, say, Preface is tapping into that, say, perform business? So with the incremental of money of the revenue, are we taking revenue from our competitors from the pie, or is an expanded pie?
Yeah, perhaps I can take that question. The major competitor we have identified will be three of them: Coursera, Udemy, and also Forage. And we see that we actually have a very strong competitive point, since that we are actually providing, on one side, we are actually having bite-sized content, which actually tap into the Gen Z's having a short attention span, as well as their very fractured time schedule. And we believe that this actually stands out from these courses or of other competitors, because they're usually offering like a lecture slide, or maybe like offering it in a very long hour learning. And therefore, our short content will actually tailor to the preferences of more university students. And on the other hand, there's another advantage that would be our synergy with our B2B business model. Since we're actually having a lot of existing connections with a lot of big companies, say for example HSBC or JP Morgan, and we actually can demonstrate to the university students that we have existing strong partnerships with these companies, and we can actually even pass your data to our future HR portal, and we can actually help you to further leverage on your future job application. And I think these two are the very strong competitive edges that we differentiate ourselves from the competitors.
And as for the B2B strategy perform, so we're looking at major competitors would be internal trainings in the company. So different companies, they have their own internal trainings, but sometimes they kind of outsource or partner with some of their own clients to deliver these training programs. And as Stanley has identified earlier, right now many companies, their L&D budget is huge, but currently they're only spending like 0.4% on Preface. So we think that is more of like an expanding, not really expanding the pie, but we can grab the market share from here. So instead of spending only 0.4% of their budget in Preface, they can spend more on our training programs that we offer. And as for the competitive edge, like mentioned by Tiffany, we have very strong focus on tech upskilling. So this is not necessarily what our competitors could be doing, because in many, perhaps in the banking industry, their training would be very focused on the task that they have. So if it's a sales and training, there would be sales and training training. If it's a, let's say, a luxury brand, it could be the sales training. So however, we here, Preface would be able to provide them the tech knowledge and tech skills they need to keep up with the industry trends. So I think that's one of the major advantages we have over other players in the B2B side. Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Yeah, I've got a question on the HR portal that under the perform strategy.
Yep.
How would you comment on the competitive edge against LinkedIn?
Okay, correct. So I think one of the major important points here is that we are able to bridge the information gap. So let me explain what the information gap is, and perhaps Stanley could also elaborate on that later on. So the information gap is that on the student side, most on these platforms, they just claim that they have these experience, like, oh, I am very proficient at Excel, I have very strong expert skills in Microsoft Office, for example. However, it's of course, we're not trying to say that these candidates, they're lying, but it could be a bit inflated in terms of their actual performance. So on our HR portal, because we connect with the prepare strategy as well. So these students, through our HR portal, they actually need to take a certain amount of Python courses or a certain amount of tests in order to show that they're actually at this level right here. So this is able to bridge the information gap from the student side. And as for the company side, similarly, so when we apply for jobs nowadays, maybe they would in the JD, it would say, oh, it would be beneficial to have Python skills. It would be advantageous if you know this and that. So what does it mean to be beneficial to know Python skills? What exactly is it? So here we have more quantitative. It's a slider that the companies can adjust. And so we can see whether or not we match, like exceed. Here in this case, we have enough Python skills to meet their needs or not enough skills to meet their needs.
So I would like to, we also did some research on, for example, HSBC's current recruitment process. So for take sales and trading, for example, currently some of the business heads, they demand, for example, Python or coding skills. However, during the recruitment process, there's also not like a coding test. And even if there is a coding test, there's a possibility that these students, they just find another computer science student to help them do the coding test. It's very hard to verify. But the problem that we're solving right now is that you can lie with one recruitment process, but you cannot lie with the past 2 years that you spent on our prepare strategy to develop your skills. So that's the information gap that we're trying to bridge.
On your KPIs, so you're projecting revenue of 37.8 million from the prepare strategy
Yes.
by 2025.
Yes.
How many students are you preparing in that?
Okay, so over here, as you can see from the funnel, we will be first of all marketing it from the total number of university students that are currently over here. And then after that, we have taken out the STEM students because we see that they are already having tech inside their curriculum. So after that, that's non-STEM students. After that, we'll actually times the penetration rate in terms of how much of them actually want to get into, for example, a role that requires a tech skill, for example. That will give us to a 66K in total addressable market. After that, we have actually taken a 50% market share in terms of this area, which can further be demonstrated in terms of the model. So over here, we are gradually just simply increasing our market share in terms of our engagement with the students in the university. For example, in the very start of our strategy, we'll be tapping into less of the students. However, we see that first of all in terms of word of mouth, and second of all in terms of our employers' connections, we'll be able to gradually build up our market share inside this lucrative university student market.
Of the 33,000 students that you showed through the funnel,
Yes.
what's the per student revenue that you're assuming?
Yes. So over here we have actually 3 pricing assumptions for our 3 different for our 3 different tiers of pricing plans. So over here we have actually, for example, for essentials, we have benchmarked it against several other courses offered currently. However, we see that we have a different nature. So even though it might not be an exact match, but we still see it as a good comparable. And for example, for Plus, we see that there will be a premium in terms of there will be master classes that they could be attending. So we just put a 25% premium on top of the essentials tier. And ultimately for premium, we've actually benchmarked it to some similar business nature services. For example, Pure Yoga's one-on-one courses. So we have benchmarked it against these 3 key criteria. And ultimately, they will get a USD $109 in average monthly revenue per user. So each user will actually be paying $109
Per month?
Yes, per month.
So a little bit of follow-up questions regarding the university students, the perform market strategy. So what have you thought about the go-to-market plan? So in order to achieve such growth in the university student markets.
Yeah, thank you so much for your question. We have actually prepared some marketing strategies that we believe Preface can adopt to. From your previous experiences, we have actually identified that coffee shop is really a very amazing competitive edge that you stand out from other competitors, how you can actually connect with your senior executives. And we think that this can actually be exactly applied to the university students as well. Apart from cafe is actually a very often go-to place for our students, we can actually leverage on the current cafe market. For example, when they are actually purchasing a coffee in your cafe, they will be able to free to watch a course in an hour. Say, for example, when they're dining in your cafe, they can actually, when they have no time to use, they can actually just watch a course while like having a dinner or having a coffee in there. And we believe that this can actually tap into more cafe customers, and it is possible that we can penetrate these customers into our users of our performance strategy. And also, there can be a lot more different kinds of various strategies, including buying coffee, and they can have a lucky draw inside the app, which can attract them to actually be onboarded to our app, and they can further explore on our perform strategy inside the app as well. And on the other hand, for the app reform, we believe that when we are launching the app, we do not only include the education element, since that would be boring. However, we can also include some in-app order functions and membership promotion inside the app, so that when your cafe customers, when they're actually trying to download the app, at first because they want to order a coffee in your shop, but now they can also explore other functions which include the perform strategy, and therefore it is able for us to drive the awareness of our customers and also penetrate into our target market. On the other hand, since we're targeting at university students, the partnership and social media part is also very important. We believe that you can partner with 2 types of partners. The first one will be the student societies like HKUST, and secondly, some career-driven organizations that a lot of university students who have an ambitious goal in their career will follow, say for example, HK Careers. And we believe that these 2 kind of partnerships will help us to tap into our target market. And last but not least, we are trying to also suggest that Preface can revamp their current social media account for Instagram and YouTube, since many of the content now are focusing on tech education only or about the Preface shop. But also we think that if we can actually launch more advertisement and reels that is focusing on short content and be very due diligence and professional tech content, focusing on career, we believe that this can actually attract more university students who are interested in that to tap into our strategies. Thank you.
And on your insight too, you mentioned about how the pain point of a corporate, one of it is to upscale the current employees' tech capabilities. Could you please share the plan or the recommendation to a corporate client? What will be the proposition?
Okay, so in our training program, we have the first important thing to know is that like if we have a standardized training. So many companies nowadays, they adopt this mass training approach. So everybody, they will go to a same place and take the same course. And this is ineffective because it does not address the individual needs. So,
Or an online platform such as, for example, HSBC University.
yeah, so it is unable to address the individual needs perfectly. And so our pitch is that with our HR portal and even with the Preface app itself, it would be the way for our candidates or the employees to learn. And on the platform, firstly, they would identify what skills they have and what skills they're missing. And so we only target the skills that they are missing. And this way, it can help save, for the company can save costs because it means that you don't have to pay for courses that they already know. So you don't have to pay and buy for, like, let's say I'm very experienced in coding. I don't need to take another coding course. The company does not have to pay for a coding course. So that's one aspect of it. And for the employees themselves, it helps them save time. And they can also have more time to, and with the saved time, they can explore other tech abilities and knowledge that maybe is not required by the company, but the company could still perhaps sponsor them to learn something additional. And so I think that's also very beneficial when it comes to from the company's perspective.
How would you encourage them? Because yes, this is how we are working in HSBC, but the point is, how do we encourage or motivate them to do these trainings? Because majority of the issue is that we got no time. How do we prioritize?
Oh, we got no
What is the
time.
selling point?
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, Preface, they actually, when it comes to their B2B strategy, they would first sell to the executives, the senior executive level, because the senior executive level, they see that there's a trend in their industry to adopt more technology. And they want to keep up with the technology trend. And when it comes to the senior executives, they really drive what happens in their company. They drive the vision, they drive the goals that they want their employees to have. So from the top down, we first approach these senior executives and then to try and let them understand the importance of having the tech knowledge. And once they do, they will have this idea that, oh, maybe so I understand about how important cryptocurrency is or how important blockchain is. Oh, perhaps my employees should also know about this so they could so the entire company itself could be better equipped to meet the technology trends. So this is one major selling point.
That's from a more top-down perspective, but how do we motivate the employees from a bottom-up perspective? This is the power of data, because since our university students, they're already onboarding on our Prepare strategy, which we already understand throughout the past 4 years. What are their interests? What do they not know? What do they know? Right. So when they graduate and they come into the workforce, we already have a lot of data on them, which we will be able to provide them with courses that are attractive to them. And also comes hand in hand with our content generation ability, because our content compared to other competitors, we're more bite-sized, we're very attractive. Therefore, we believe that with these combined into hand-to-hand, it will be a more attractive proposition for the corporate employees from both top-down and bottom-up.
So the 30,000 Prepare strategy for the 30,000 students, how many do you think we have the capabilities or the firm has the capabilities to undertake 30,000 students for especially a lot of tailor-made content?
Thank you. So right now, as we see, for Preface especially, they have a very strong ability to generate content, also both in terms of a top level as well as from a bottom level. Therefore, we have actually calculated how much of an investment we actually will take. So over here, we have calculated, for example, we'll be hiring full-time professionals help us develop content, as well as have industry professionals who spend approximately 10% of their time onto this project as well. So this is going to be the first layer. However, afterwards, we can gradually scale up our operations to reach out to even more industry professionals. So over here, we can see that one size of content, after being validated by these industry professionals, we can further drill into it to develop more curated content in these situations. So we see it as perfectly scalable.
Thank you.
Thank you.
University.